Hey guys, before we dive into this month's episode, I wanted to remind you really quick of our upcoming leadership conference. It's September 16th and 17th. We're calling it the Church Growth Unleashed Conference. Guys, we're going to be bringing in some of the most influential pastors in America today, some of the largest churches in America, like Kyle Idleman from Southeast Christian will be speaking to us. Ed Newton from Community Bible Church will also be one of our speakers. We're going to have Aaron Brockett come in and do a breakout session, Traders Point Community Church. Guys, we're going to be talking all things leadership. Team building, vision casting, all the stuff that you need to be equipped to grow your church. It's going to be fantastic. So again, September 16th and 17th, you can go to the website churchgrowthunleashed.org and register today. Now let's dive into this month's episode of the podcast. Church Growth Unleashed, diving into all things leadership and church growth. Provide the help, encouragement, insights that you need along the journey of growing yourself as a leader and your ministry. Hey guys, welcome back to the Church Growth Unleashed podcast. We talk about all things leadership, church growth, without losing your soul. Today, you guys are in for a treat. We're going to talk about something that's so critical, that's so vital for every single ministry leader and pastor watching today. Today, we're going to be talking about the need for friendship, for some deep friends, to have 2, 3, 4, 5 really good friends in your life. There's a recent study that came out in 2022 by the Barna Group that said 65% of pastors reported feelings of loneliness and isolation. Think about that, 65%. Maybe that's you. Feel like, man, nobody knows me. I don't have any friends. I'm doing this by myself. That puts you in a very dangerous spot. You know, it's no wonder that 38% to 50% of pastors consider leaving ministry every single year. I'm not saying that's the cause, that's the only cause, but there's definitely a correlation there. When people feel like they're all alone, they want to give up. They get discouraged, they get down, and they want to throw the towel in. You know, this is incredible to me because as pastors, as ministry leaders, we're around people all the time. I mean, we're with staff, we're with people, we're shepherding them, we're having lunch with people, we're having coffee with people. But yet, in the midst of all of that social interaction, we can still feel unknown, unloved, and uncared for. We can feel lonely and isolated. You know, when you open up the Bible, you see the need for friendship. I mean, in 1 Samuel 23, David had these mighty men. You've probably preached a sermon on it, done a Bible study on it. He had these 37 warriors that went everywhere with him. And in those 37, he had 3 specific warriors, the mighty warriors. One of them killed 800 men with his spear in one battle one time. I'd like to have that guy on my team. David had his mighty men, and then he had his inner 3. Jesus had his 12 disciples, but yet he had Peter, James, and John who were closest to him. Like, you see this everywhere. Like, we need a group of people to do ministry with. If we're going to make it over the long haul, you need some really good friends. So I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about 3 specific reasons why it's difficult for pastors to develop friendships, real, authentic friendships. And then I want to talk about 4 ways on how to actually do it. So let's dive in today. The first reason why it's hard for pastors or ministry leaders to develop friendships is unrealistic expectations. People just have these crazy expectations of ministry leaders, of their pastor. It's sort of like pastors are like teachers. Do you remember being like maybe in the 3rd or 4th grade? And you would see your math teacher at the grocery store or your English teachers, at the bank or something. And you're like looking at them and you're like, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be in the grocery store. You're a teacher. You should be in the classroom. Like, I think that same dynamic is going on with pastors. Like, people don't see us as normal people. That's just par for the course. That's just the way it is. So you can resent that. You can push against that. But it is what it is. And that makes it really hard for us to develop friendships because, quite honestly, I'm aware of those expectations. And what that makes me feel is pressure. Like, I have to be a certain way, and I have to always talk about Jesus, and I always have to be spiritual, and I always have to, it's like, wow, I can't meet those expectations because I'm normal. Like, I'm a normal person. I do silly things. I do weird things. The other day I was playing a game of 21 with my friends, which is a basketball game, and we have a lot of fun. And this is one of my closest friends. His name is Michael, and he was shooting his shot for the 21st point. He was going to win, and so I turned around and I mooned him. I did. I did. I was trying to distract him to miss his shot, and it worked. It worked. But you know what he said to me? He said, "Man, if people only knew that their pastor is the type of person who pulls his pants down and moons people, I don't know if they would come to church anymore." And that's just true. It's true. And so now I just told everybody, and so maybe it's going to backfire. But anyway, there's this expectation that pastors don't do certain things, they don't talk certain ways, and that makes us push away from having close friendships, unrealistic expectations. We feel like all we're ever going to do is disappoint people, and so we don't get close to anybody. We cannot let that stop us. The second reason why it's hard for pastors to have friendships is you've been burned in the past. You've tried it before. You got close to somebody, you let your hair down, you were vulnerable, and it burned you. They used something against you. You said something in a sermon they didn't like, so they left. And it's like, man, I thought you were my friend. And as a defense mechanism against that pain, we just isolate. We're like, I'm not doing that again. I'll never get close to anyone ever again. And that's the wrong choice to make. But that's what makes it hard. We've been burned in the past. A third reason is, and there's more reasons than this, but this is just my perspective. We're tired. Like, friendship requires effort. And pastors, ministry leaders, we're pouring our life into our staff and the people we're shepherding, and we're helping people with their marriage, and then we're doing a counseling session, and we're trying to help someone overcome an addiction, and we're pouring out. And a lot of times at the end of the day, all we want to do is go home and be alone. And it's because friendship requires effort. There's social energy involved. There's caring involved, and we don't want to put in the effort. And so I get it, pastors. I do. I feel all of those things, and I'm tempted to just kind of be a hermit and not socialize and not make friends. But if we're going to make it over the long haul, if we're going to do ministry and see our churches grow without losing our soul, we need some people in our corner. So let's talk about how to actually do that. I'm just going to share with you 4 ways that I've done it, and you could take these. You could say, nope, or yep, whatever you want to do. This is just what I've done over the last decade of my ministry to help develop friendships in my life. The first thing I've done is I've just simply humbled myself. I've gotten to the point where I just believe with all my heart, without a shadow of a doubt, I cannot do this alone. The pressures are too high, the challenges are too big, the stresses are too heavy, and I need some people to walk alongside with me if I'm going to make it over the long haul. So I just submit to that. I tell myself that I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough emotionally to get through this by myself. So I need some people in my life. The passage that really helped me is the passage in 1 Samuel chapter 23, where David is on the run. He's been told he's going to be the next king, but Saul's trying to kill him, and he's just going from forest to forest. He's running for his life. And at one point in verse 16, it says that his friend Jonathan, Saul's son, went to find David and encouraged him to stay strong in his faith. That's so critical. That is what you need, and that is what I need. And we have to convince ourselves of that. We cannot just think, well, I'll just encourage myself. It's me and Jesus. That's all I need is the Holy Spirit, the Father. That's true. You do need him. But God has also set us up to where we need the encouragement of other people. So I've just surrendered to that. I submit to that. Years ago, I read the book Life Together by Dietrich Bonhoeffer, fantastic little book. He was the German pastor who tried to, assassinate Hitler. Ultimately, he failed, and he was killed for it. There was a movie that just came out about him. He said this in his book, powerful quote. Listen to what he said. He said, "The physical presence of other Christians is a source of incomparable joy and strength." Wow. See, Pastor, when you decide to go at this alone and not really have any true friends who know you, know what's going on inside, you cut yourself off from a massive source of strength and joy. And so when I read that years ago, I'm like, I'm not going to let that happen. I want all the strength and all the joy that I can get from a few good friends around me. C.S. Lewis talks about this in his book, Mere Christianity. He said, God often chooses to work through other people to give us the things that we need. And so I just surrender to that. I submit to that. I humble myself to that. I'm not good enough to do it by myself. I encourage you to do the same. So it starts with humility. And then number two, you have to seek out people that can actually help you. You need friends that can actually offer some assistance to you. Don't just be friends with anybody who's in your proximity. That's just a bad idea. They're around you, so you become friends with them. No, be very intentional and very specific with the people you are going to choose. Here's what I know about you, because it's what's true about me. As a ministry leader, pastor, you face some significant challenges, financial challenges with your budget, staffing challenges with your team, strategic planning challenges, facility challenges. These are complicated issues. And so what I've chosen to do is pick 2, 3, 4 people, 5 people actually, that can understand my world. Like my closest friends are business leaders. They they deal with budgets. They deal with staff. They deal with lots of cash, and they understand my world. And so I feel like there's a commonality when we get together that they understand me. They understand my world. I understand their world, and we can share and really provide assistance to one another. Here's what I would encourage you to do when it comes to friendship. Do not choose people who you have to disciple. Now, I'm not saying that there's never discipleship going on between my friends and I. There is, both ways. But don't fall into that pattern that, I'm the pastor, so I'm going to be around people that I'm going to shepherd and help, overcome their problems. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about friends that can actually assist you and provide help to you because they understand your world and they're doing similar things in the world. So that's what I've done. I encourage you to do the same. So number 1, be humble yourself. Number 2, pick the right people. Number 3, choose people of really good character. Really good character, because you need to be able to trust these people. If you're going to be their friend, if they're going to understand your world, they're going to be privy to some really sensitive information. They have to be people of high integrity. What am I talking about? I'm talking about their faith in Jesus is genuine. They have an authentic walk with God. You know it. You've seen it. You've watched it. It's not fake. They're not Pharisees. They're not, it's not just an outside-inside approach. It's an inside-outside approach. They're walking with Jesus. Number 2, they've got a great marriage. I mean, they are fantastic husbands. Now, I'm talking as if everybody on this is a man, but if you're a woman pastor, you want to choose women to be in your group, not men. If you're a man, you want to choose men to be in your group. I think if you go down and you choose the opposite sex, you're only asking for trouble. That's just my opinion. I'm talking about inner circle friends. People are going to know you intimately. You want to choose people that are really good spouses. And you can watch, you can observe. What's their spouse like? I heard someone say one time, if you really want to know a man's character, look at his wife's face, because her face says it all. So what's her face look like? If you're a woman, what's the husband's face look like? Choose people who are really authentic in their faith. They're great spouses, and they're also great parents. They're great fathers. They're great mothers. Their kids are thriving, right? They know how to run their home well. These are people of high integrity, good character, and then people who have a great reputation in the community. And you can watch this because you're a pastor. You can see. You can take your time and observe who are the people in your community that have really good reputation. These are the folks you want to target. These are the folks that you want to be friends with. So what I did, I literally did this several years ago. It was about 6 years ago. I sat down, I made a short list of names. Rick Johnson, Don Line, R.J. McConnell, Greg Huffman. I made a short list of these names, and I personally reached out to them, and I asked them to be in a group. I said, hey, you want to be in a small group and, with me? And each one of them said yes. And there's another guy named Bill, but he had to move out of state for a job. But we started meeting every other Friday. And 5 years later, we still meet. And I chose these guys because they had high integrity, they were trustworthy, and they were high-capacity people. They could provide assistance to me. So number one, humble yourself. Number two, choose people who can actually help you. Number three, choose people who are high integrity. And then this last part, probably the hardest part, but maybe the most significant, is go first when it comes to transparency and vulnerability. This is not a group where you get together and you just talk about how to solve business problems or problems in the church. You get to that stuff. But this is a group. This is a friendship where you're dealing with stuff that's going on in your life at the soul level. And that starts with transparency. What is transparency? Well, it's just being honest. Like, you're not going to candy coat it. You're not going to cover up. You're not going to pretend like things are okay. You're going to be honest about what's going on at the soul level, what's going on in your marriage, what's going on with your children, your parenting, what's going on, in your emotions. Are you angry? Are you sad? Are you discouraged? Are you down? Are you happy? Are you enthusiastic? Transparency. Now, that often comes out when questions are asked, and that's good. But then there's another level beyond transparency. I call that vulnerability. Vulnerability is the next step. Vulnerability is you going first. This is a big step, especially if you've been burned in the past. Vulnerability is when you begin the conversation and you say, guys, here's what's going on in my heart right now. I'm really, really disappointed. This happened, and I'm struggling to trust God. And this is where trust comes in, because this is sensitive information. And a lot of times we don't want to go this deep because we're afraid of what our friends will think of us. Well, I didn't know the pastor struggled with that. I didn't know he had doubts at times. I didn't know he struggled with, greed or lust or some other sin. But this is where we need to go with friendship. It takes time. I would not recommend rushing into it, but this is where we got to go if we want to lead over the long haul and not lose our soul. Because here's what I know about the soul. You know this about the soul. Having Jesus and the Holy Spirit is great, and he works with us at the soul level, but he's also put other people in our life to help us to process what's going on, to get insight in what's going on, to get another perspective, to maybe get a passage of Scripture given to us as we share, that the Holy Spirit might bring to light through one of our friends who's walking closely with the Spirit. But you got to go first in this, Pastor. You got to be vulnerable. And when you go first and you're transparent and vulnerable, guess what? That gives permission to the other guys to start to open up and share what's going on in their life. And that's where true friendship is developed, deep friendship, intimate friendship with a group of people in your life. Let me close by saying this, guys. Ministry leaders, they got a target on their back. It was Neil Anderson who said this. If you're a Christian, you're a target. But if you're a ministry leader, if you're a pastor, you're a bullseye. We have a very real enemy. Okay, I haven't talked about this yet. But we have an enemy. His name is Satan, and he's come to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants to ruin your church. He wants to ruin your character and discredit you so that your church will fall apart and be split. Peter said he prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Let that sink in. You've preached a sermon on that. You've done a study on that. Our enemy is not playing games. He's after you. You have a bullseye on your back, and you need, like King David did, a group of mighty warriors around you. And then in the midst of those warriors, 2 or 3 really close friends that will do just about anything to protect your heart and help you to make it over the long haul. I've chosen to do that. I've wrote about this in my book At a Deeper Level, Church Growth Unleashed. You can pick that up if you want to look at that. I just want to encourage you guys. Yeah, we want to grow our church, and we need vision for that. We need to build teams for that, and that's all awesome. But if we build this church, but in the inside we're lonely, discouraged, depressed, dealing with sins that nobody knows about, eventually things will come to ruin. And that's happened before. You've seen that happen. We've heard about it in the news time and time again. Don't let that happen to you. I encourage you to take the time, put the energy in, prioritize having some good friends in your life. Hope this has been an encouragement to you today. If it has, man, share it, like it, do all that stuff on social media. Send it to another pastor who's lonely, discouraged, and down, and just pass this stuff on, because this is vital and important information that we all need to adhere to. So God bless you guys, and we will see you next month on the podcast. Take care.